Welcome to episode number 9 of the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program, PC-PEP Podcast. I'm Dr. Gabriela, Ilie, an endowed scientist in prostate cancer quality of life research and associate professor in the Faculty of Medicine at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, Canada. In this powerful episode of the PC-PEP Podcast, we hear from Ilie, a German man living in Canada who bravely recounts his journey through prostate cancer as a gay man. From the shock of diagnosis to undergoing brachytherapy, hormone therapy, and external beam radiation, Ilie candidly reflects on the emotional and physical toll and the layers of silence surrounding men's health and intimacy. Ilie's story unfolds as one of profound transformation, from isolation to deep connection, from fear to empowerment. Through open conversations about masculinity, sexuality, vulnerability, and joy, he reminds us that healing is not linear, but deeply human. His story is a testament to the strength found in self-acceptance, community, and showing up for life exactly as we are. Key messages of inspiration and empowerment for men diagnosed with prostate cancer from this podcast are, well, first, you're not alone, even if it feels like it. Ilie speaks about how, for example, isolating his diagnosis felt at first, especially as a gay man. But finding spaces like PC-PEP reminded him that connection is possible and healing is collective. Another message is that healing starts with honesty, with yourself and others. Ilie's turning point came when he began talking openly about his fears and sexuality, intimacy, and vulnerability. His message, don't hide. Another inspiration? Speak. Others will meet you there. It's okay to grieve the losses and still find joy. Ilie shares openly about the changes to his body, identity, and sense of masculinity through all this. He also describes how new joys emerged from that grieving process, including deeper emotional intimacy and self-acceptance. Showing up is powerful, and Ilie didn't always feel brave, but he kept on showing up for his appointments, for his health, for this podcast. That's courage, that's power. And lastly, your story matters and might be the light someone else needs. Ilie's participation is a gift to other men who might be quietly struggling. His willingness to share reminds us that every voice in the community counts. Welcome, everyone. Oh, Ilie, so nice to see you. Thank you so much for agreeing to doing this podcast with me. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And just at the beginning, I really want to thank both Rob and you for doing what you're doing. You are just, really changing people's lives, and your positivity and your engagement means so much, I'm sure, to so many people. And it's just beautiful. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. You're a sweetheart. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. I'm so happy that we get to talk. You're a gay man, and so many gay men go through prostate cancer, Ilie, and they don't know where to turn. They're alone. They're isolated. They're worrying. They're waiting. And it's so nice to talk to you. Let's start by perhaps you can tell us what happened to you. Where were you? What was happening in your life when you got prostate cancer? And what was that like for you? And when did you start getting some support where you feel like, hey, I can handle this. I've been through difficult things before. This too shall pass. It's going to be okay somehow.
That is a big question. I mean, that is a big, that is the topic,
Yeah.
So I've lived here in this place, which is a tiny community of 100 people now I'm from Germany originally, so I've lived here all my Canadian life. I've been together with my partner, Sean, now for 34 years in this very small
Congratulations.
Thank you. We raised his son together, and until he was a teenager and moved to his mother. So we were just another family in a very small community. And very happy, and we're homesteaders, so our situation is very different from most of the other patients that I've met through your program and other programs. We just grow all our own food, and the vegetables, we raise our own meat, and we butcher it ourselves. We really live like a lot like people 100 years ago. We do all the processing, the canning, and it's just basically
Wonderful.
all day long. Sometimes I think all day long, all I do is produce food. From the morning when I open the chickens,
bless you.
And then I have to water the tomato seedlings, and then I dig the garden, and so all day long this has to do. And
you're a man of my heart. You're a man of my heart. That's beautiful.
A big part of our lives is that we host volunteers from different organizations, and we've done that for 25, 30 years. Or somewhere around there, and they come from all over the world, from Korea to Iran to Turkey, and most of them from Europe. And these are mostly young people, but it could be any age, and they stay with us a few weeks or a few months. In one case, it was 3 years, and we basically teach them old-fashioned homesteading skills, because we do everything ourselves, from electricity to plumbing to building to food preserving to butchering. Everything what you would usually in the city call somebody or go shopping, we do all those things ourselves. So that's just how my life is. And then every year, I don't know which doctor brought me onto this, and when that started, he started the PSA tests and the physical exam, the what do you call it, the finger exam. And maybe he or she did that every year or every second year. I can't even recall what age that started. It's amazing how many doctors these days don't do that. I hear that a lot, and that's really, 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 really sad and bad. And so I happen to be lucky. And at some point, the PSA went up to 11. And he said, okay, we need to check this out. He sent me to the urologist, and then all the usual things happened, biopsy. And I remember very well, because it was a summer when our son was visiting from Montreal. And I remember the volunteer who was here at this time, who shared this news with him. I was kind of surprised because she overheard it on the telephone, but it was okay. So that was in October 2023.
So you would have been around how old? Around what age?
65.
Yeah.
65, 64. And so...
You see, because I can't tell. I look at you and you look young as a chick.
Thank you. I love hearing that.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I'm 65 now. And so it wasn't the biggest shock, because I already knew, the PSA was high, and it's hard to remember. It's a little bit of a blur how that all happened. But one thing that's interesting that a lot of men I hear is they really, really detest the biopsy, and the biopsy wasn't so bad for me. The MRI was much worse, because it's a very old machine, and it's very, very loud, and I'm claustrophobic. So being in this machine with this incredible sound for over an hour, I think it was torture. So, and for other people, the biopsy is torture. So this is one important thing to take away, for people who are listening, is that everybody is so different. And all the stories I hear, is everybody is different. Every mind is different. Every experience is different. And so, you can just take little glimpses from other people's story, and then something very different might happen to you. But the important thing about is that you have these other stories, and then you can talk about it, you can relate to them, and you can learn all the time. For example, I just recently, through one of these conversations, I never heard that before, that I had then Gleason 3 and 4, 7. And just recently I heard somewhere that 3 plus 4 is better than 4 plus 3.
That's right. Yeah.
I've never heard that in like 2 or 3 years of dealing with this, So you never stop learning, as we know. And
things are changing so rapidly in the prostate cancer world.
I know.
I go to the departmental meetings, and our lead, Ricardo Rendon, always says, "Oh my goodness, new things are coming. Things are changing. We're going to, standard care is going to change. It's going to change everything." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
And then it depends on the person who you are. Me, for example, I'm a very practical person. I'm not a very research intellectual person in that way. So suddenly be thrown into this situation where you have to learn so much in so little time. And I constantly hear from people who are overwhelmed, and I was overwhelmed because the information is so much, and you can't just suddenly become a mini doctor, So I just looked through my papers today. It's a stack this high with notes, telephone calls, just notes, or photocopies or something, I still have, I don't know how many books. Some of them you get them sent for free, and I never really read them. I was just constantly overwhelmed by this stuff, And for me, the person-to-person thing, it works much better.
And I want to stop here and reflect on what you said, because I think it's so important. We just released our documentary Empower, and we had another cancer patient that, a lawyer. So I'm hearing you talk, and I'm saying, look at him, 60 years young, incredible, capable. I mean, you're raising everything on do you know the skill that you must have to be able to do what you and Sean are doing? I mean, that's commendable. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, my gosh, this guy is just a mountain of wisdom and expertise in life and living. And so just like John Underhill in our documentary Empower, who was a lawyer at the time, very successful attorney, he also goes through his journey. He says, I realized one day I was out of my depth. I was out of my depth. You don't know how much you don't know until you know. And yes, exactly. It's a whole new skill and expertise and a new set of understandings that we just don't have. And you need to go through that journey to realize that irrespective of how educated you are and how much, your depth and breadth of knowledge with regards to some aspect of life and living, you do find yourself a little bit out of your depth. Yeah.
And it really, the thing I relied most on was finding the right people in the healthcare system that would guide me and that I felt I could trust, my urologist, he wasn't bad, but he was, I like him, but he just didn't give me many tools, he just gave me the prognosis. And then he gave me one connection to the which one was it? There's two different big ones in Canada. It was the PSCK, Prostate Cancer. It's not Prostate Cancer Foundation Canada. It's the other one. I can't. Prostate Cancer Supportive Care.
Oh, I see.
It's an organization. I think it's based in BC.
Yes, it is.
So he gave me that, and then he connected me. So he himself is a surgeon, old-fashioned surgeon, and then he connected me to a surgeon in Vancouver who does robotic surgery. So I had a phone call with them, and then I was connected with a doctor in Kelowna who does brachytherapy and radiation. And in the end, so this all it takes months and months and months of communication and trying to get a grip on it and so on. And in the end, what persuaded me to go the way I went was because some of the doctors in Kelowna, they got together, they looked at my numbers, my case, everything, and they together kind of decided we suggest brachytherapy and external beam radiation. And I go like, okay, if there's several doctors sitting there together, the doctor I was talking to first, actually, she was not the expert for that. She when she gave me to another doctor, and then I thought, okay, that's just what I'll do. I followed my heart and my feeling a little bit. I mean, it's a very personal decision whether you want to have an organ removed from your body or not. You know, it's scary. So I just went with that, you know, and it felt good, and it still feels good. So basically, with all the reading and all that stuff, I just, you know, that's the way I went. And when it finally happened, I mean, when I finally went there for a consultation, this is another important thing that I want to kind of tell other men is there's always surprises, you know, and you have to, it's not a line that goes like this. It goes like there's all these bumps in the road, you know. So I'm sitting in the office. I'm prepared to the brachytherapy. I'm prepared for the radiation. And she says, and by the way, we should start you on hormone therapy today. I go like, nobody has ever talked to me about hormone therapy. Like, all I heard about hormone therapy, it's not great, you know, the side effects and everything. And then she was kind of a little bit upset that I wasn't like right away going with her thing. I said, I wish somebody had prepared me for this. I mean, this was just such a surprise. I'm sitting in the office, and 2 hours later, I get my first injection. And that was the first time I heard about it. You know, that's just not how it should be. Anyway, that was one of the bumps in the road, you know, and I can see why she thought that was a good thing for me. I believe she was right, you know, but as you know,
but you had no time to process. You had no time to land on that decision.
Nothing.
There was no time to,
nothing. And you know, as as a very sexually active man, I have a younger partner as well. So I live in a polyamorous relationship, and I have an older partner. And so sexuality was always a big thing in my life, a very joyful thing. And so I was reminded of a good female friend of mine who had to have some organs removed, and then had, you know, because of cancer scare. And so she had the menopause from one day to the other, you know, just like that, you know. And so, as you know, having the hormone therapy does the similar things to a man. And I never thought that was even possible to have a real similar menopause as a man, you know. And
andropause, testosterone goes down. Andropause.
You know, and it's quite something, you know. I mean, you lose your libido, and you have the hot flashes, and you gain weight, and
you grow boobs.
Yeah, a little bit. I hope
a little bit.
Much. But I think I grew love handles on the right and the left. Like, I was already a little bit overweight. Now I'm even more overweight, and that is not easy for me, you know. Even though I'm such an active person, and I'm unhappy with that. So I'm very lazy when it comes to exercises. So I have to, you know, that's a hard thing. And the whole thing was not easy, but I'm just saying, in the lucky situation that I have two partners who can also, be nice to each other, and who are very understanding, you know. And so I am on some Facebook groups that are just talking specifically about sexuality and prostate cancer. And it, as you know, for the partners, male and female, doesn't matter. It is often very, very difficult, you know, and it really tests a relationship when these things become change in such a big way, you know, and something you relied on was always there, suddenly isn't there, or has changed in a big way. So, and that's where counseling comes in, and group sharing comes in, where you have to reach out for help, but not everybody has that kind of personality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really thinking about a lot of lonely men out there. There's a lot of men who are not even open about their sexuality to their doctors. Not even to their doctors. There are men who are in heterosexual relationships, but also have gay relationships and hide them. There's so much out there. And for them, then having a cancer diagnosis that they don't want to talk about openly must put a huge stress on their mental health. And in anonymous groups, like even the Facebook groups or whatever, these kind of things can really help. And then I'm thinking back to the doctor who only gave me the one leaflet. Well, I went to the internet, and it took me months and months and months to find all the support that I needed. There's way more than one person needs. It's spread out on all sort of places and websites. It took, but there's not everybody my age group or older who handles the internet that way.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of these poor men somewhere in the countryside or in a big city, doesn't matter, who don't have the help and don't know how to help themselves, because this whole journey was about you have to speak up for yourself, and you have to demand answers, and you have to keep asking questions, and not everybody is built for that.
Yeah, I don't think right now, the way I see things, there's still not a centralized way of men finding out about resources for them. And I don't want to be controversial, but I think it's important to talk about this. And I think you and I are the best to talk about this openly. One of my biggest frustrations, Uli, has been, and it's not that I'm not shy. I'm not shy, but it's right. But it is an elephant in the room. I found that as a researcher, as a scientist, and my husband included, as a radiation oncologist, clinical lead of a national, now international program that supports men on their journey of prostate cancer, hitting a wall with organizations whose very purpose, their mission, is to inform the patients of any resources that are there to support them. And we'll ask, why can't you let your men know about our program? Oh, no, because we have this and this. Are they scientifically tested? No, but it doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does. And why do you restrict access? I mean, don't you think this is unethical? And they choose to play God. They say, we're going to tell men about this, or maybe we're going to tell somebody that we think needs this program. And I'm looking at that and saying, what are you talking about? Tell me one man for which this program is not good. Tell me one man who doesn't need to know about lifestyle changes that they can make, information on sexuality, information on the type of treatments they can get, and how to navigate safely their prostate cancer. Tell me one. And it's just like they go blank. They say, They push you away as if you're not to be talked to for some reason. And this, we've seen this with organizations over and over again. Explain this to me, because it's mind-boggling.
I can't explain it to you. I can sadly only confirm what you're saying, because it has happened to me that when I mention your program, I get sometimes things like that. The reactions are similar. And the only thing in general that I see between all these programs, that there is a certain kind of competition between the different programs, which shouldn't be there. I mean, a lot of programs rely on funding. I can see that is difficult because, wherever the money comes from, there isn't an endless pot of money. So maybe that's a reason. But there is a lot of the programs are doing similar things, and it just would make so much more sense to work together. Absolutely,
Yeah, let men choose, pick and choose. And it's really interesting for us in our case, you get funding once for a research study, you keep on going. So we're not in competition with anybody. Plus, we tell them the more the merrier. Let the men, absolutely. If you have other resources that are going to complement what we're doing, go for it. But people should have a choice. It's your body at the end of the day, and you really want to advocate for yourself, and you want to empower yourself, and you want to lead a better life. And now you have to work through the stigma and this process where everything is so politicized and bureaucratic to get support. No, this should not be.
It should not be like that. And I made a note to just mention this. It's very interesting. It's something I've never thought about. But as we're talking about funding and things like that, I have one friend in Europe who had prostate cancer, and he said he cannot tell his colleagues his workplace, because he's a very high end researcher or whatever, always with new things in biology or whatever. He was sure that if he told his superiors or his organization that he works for that he had prostate cancer, he would maybe lose out on future project fundings. I mean, that is incredible. Because they write him off. He's sick. And I mean, he's fine now. He's I think he's cured, but it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah,
it's like,
you're right. It's
absolutely.
Like this is ridiculous.
It's like a woman who gets pregnant and doesn't get the promotion.
That's right. And this has more to do now. And this is another issue that I think is equally important, is this perception of illness. I think we're scared of the word cancer, and it becomes like a plague. So I'm going to stay away from you because you have cancer. And that actually happens. You really get to see who your friends are.
I made a very conscious decision early on to be super open about it. I mean, you see me, you see what you get, and I just thought, I have known female friends with cancer and breast cancer usually, and I realized at some point that I started to think about them as the person who has cancer. We do that in a certain way, it's like, and I go like, I don't want to be the guy with cancer, but if they think that way, if anybody thinks that way, it's okay. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I put out the information that I have, and that I talk about it, and then I get as many men my age and younger to go and get tested. That has become my mission.
It's a call for action. It's a call for action. Your disclosing becomes a call for action. How beautiful is that? And with regards to, cancer and the perception of it, it's quite interesting. I think first and foremost, we're not a cancer. We're not the disease. We're a person. That we remain. We're the soul underneath all that. It's like Rumi said, I'm not this hair. I'm not this skin. Right? I'm the light that lives within. Right? So it's so, I think, immature and childish.
It is, but honestly, like I saw myself having done that in the past, with people I knew, and now I look back, and now with most of them, I have forgotten that almost, I have to remind myself that so and so many years ago, she had cancer, and, I don't think about her that way anymore, but I did for a little bit. So I just caught myself in something that, I didn't like, and I can just imagine other people doing that too. But now so many people have said, that a cancer diagnosis is a blessing in disguise. And I can only say, yes, that's how it was for me, because I think it has made me a little bit a more compassionate man. And I have been very, very open about it. And last year, for example, when we had this big fire all around Argenta in the summer. We almost lost the whole village, and it went on for weeks and weeks, but there was some downtime there. And, I had like 5 or 6 of these hunky firefighters there. And we talked about our lifestyle and so on. And they were, very interested in how we live here. And then at some point I just said, and listen, guys, I mean, some of you are in their 20s, some of you are in your 40s, but I just want to tell you, once you get between 40 and 50, it's time to start testing. And I'm only telling you this because it's happened to me, and I got diagnosed really early, and that was really lucky. I always try to do it with humor, and people thank me, I mean, even if they're strangers, they look at me and I go like, just remember this, in 10, 20 years, this crazy guy there on the farm, how he told you, and then I just make these jokes with them. And I just feel, if only one of them listens to me, I had this success.
I'm reflecting again on something that you said that I think is very important. And you're right. We develop, we grow throughout the course of our lives. And I too remember being younger. And I think I was about 10 years young when I first came across someone with cancer. Was a peer of mine in my class. She had abdominal cancer, and she was growing this almost big tummy outside of her body. I remember her parents throwing a party, and everybody went in the living room where all the treats were, but nobody stayed with Lily, our friend. And I went in her room on the couch with her, and then I jumped right beside her, and we started playing before, and that was my moment of growth. And I think we all have them through our lives when you realize, my goodness, it didn't matter that she had cancer. We were playing the way 2 girls will play, right? When you see each other and you're young and you're kind of at school, where all the other kids were going for the treats, we had a much better treat. And that is the connection that we had, and the playfulness, right, and the heartfulness. But I think we all through our lives, we have opportunities to grow. And it is an opportunity to grow when you hear that someone you love or someone that you know has cancer, to decide what's it going to be, because it's going to be your choice. Do you want to see the disease, or do you want to see the soul? And I think that when we make that decision, we also demonstrate to ourselves what's important, the body or the spirit within. It's honest to goodness. It is a spiritual evolution, I think, in many ways. And life offers us those incredible opportunities to make a choice. What's it going to be? And in your case, make this a call for action, where we can all perhaps become a little more kinder, a little more loving, a little more accepting, and a little more willing to recognize ourselves in others.
And it brings me back to how my journey continued, because it's not far away, that after all this waiting, I mean, it took so many months, and I finally end up in Kelowna at the cancer clinic in Kelowna for the brachytherapy that I had decided on, and for the external beam radiation. And I took part in a trial between a short-term external beam radiation, only 10 sessions or something every 2 days, but stronger. They're testing that, or the old-fashioned one, which is 24 sessions. So right. The computer decided that I got the old one. So I ended up staying in Kelowna almost 6 or 7 weeks. But what I want to say is that all the help that I got before, through the PEP program, and it didn't start with the PEP program. It started with the Prostate Cancer Foundation Canada. They had a bi and gay sexual meeting just for men once a month. And I had realized through this journey also how heteronormative our whole system is, and that there's so little. Even my doctor, my first urologist, he just had no idea that, he had never thought about that maybe having prostate cancer and hormone therapy and all that has a different impact on men who have sex with men. I found a study about that on the internet. I sent it to him, and to his credit, he phoned me the next day and thanked me for it. A lot of other people would have said, oh God, there's another patient who found something on the internet, and please don't bother me. How many times that happens, I don't even want to know. But he realized that he had missed something, and that there was something interesting out there that, so he thanked me several times that I did send him the study. So I had, so that's why I joined this meeting, this meeting once a month, where some of the PEP members were in, and then that they talked about PEP, and then I got in contact with you guys. So this help just, it just goes slowly, and you have to be lucky to talk to the right people. If your doctor isn't, your
aware.
first. Isn't aware and doesn't give you the right information, you have to go out there and find all that yourself. So then through your program, one of the most important things is the mentorship, is meeting other patients. And I have now, through your program, have 3 new friends in my life, that I can call at any time. They call me at any time. I am planning a visit to Nova Scotia this August to meet them in person. And I
hope you come see us.
I would love to. So, this is what happened. This is what happened, and these conversations, these private conversations with some of these members, where, we talk about other things too, but we can give each other so much advice, and like I said, it's different for everybody else. But with this long story, where I want to come to is that by the time I went to my brachytherapy and my radiation, I was in such a positive state of support and help. Wow. And I can just see it, how I flew through this program.
Oh, totally.
I go like, finally, I'm getting the treatment that I think is the right treatment for me. The people are so kind and caring in that space, from the receptionists to the secretaries, to the nurses, to the radiologist, and they're just wonderful people. And I was just a beam of positivity in there. That's what they told me. He said, when you come in every morning, there's so many patients who are sad and very sick, much sicker than me, and very, very worried. And I just went in there and, I went into the radiation thing. Like, let's kill these little buggers, I said to the radiologist, and at that point, I can't worry too much about everything. That the doors are this thick. Everybody leaves the room, obviously they're doing things to my body that they are very scared of, but I can't go there. I go like, this is helping me right now, and I have to totally believe in this. And,
absolutely.
And I ended up looking forward every day to go to the clinic and meet those people and have those conversations.
Of course, that state of mind, because now we're beginning to see with science something that we kind of all of us knew, that our minds are influencing our bodies. Of course.
And once again, your program, your positivity, the way you approach all the things in your program, as well as the mentorship and the other people talking to, it also tells you, this is something normal. A lot of men have this, and a lot of men survive this, So that's the way I have to go, And it just, and the funny thing happened just recently. I was on such a high, through this whole thing, and I came home such a high. Now I'm home for maybe a month or two, and life is totally normal and frustrating again. And I go like, damn, everything is just like before, and I have to really grab to those positive things that happened to me, and the thing that helps me also is when other people reach out to me and ask me questions now that I've asked other people before. Like I was with a friend of mine, I was able to give him all the information that took me months and months to gather in 3 emails and 2 phone calls. Yeah. I go like, you can go there.
You're becoming an expert.
You can do this, and if you have any more questions, phone me, and now he's going there next week to Kelowna, and I can give him, ideas about where the best places are to eat in Kelowna. That's part of our healing process. And so, but it's interesting that there, when you achieve something, you're on this high, and then boom, like it might happen to you, go like, after the beautiful premiere of your beautiful documentary, and you get a lot of attention, and then suddenly you have to wash the dishes again.
Oh, I know. Those things can really play with your head, by the way. Thank goodness both Rob and I know that. So nice and settle. Let's settle.
Yes. So
yeah.
The other things that I've found in these programs that are very helpful is counseling. A lot of men are against counseling because they are very proud, and they don't want to talk about their feelings with a stranger. And one of the programs, the Prostate Cancer Supportive Care from BC, they have a counselor or several counselors, and I got 7 free counseling sessions, which were really, really helpful. And something else that's not so much, I'm not so much spiritual, or the mindfulness is a little bit difficult for me, but it did help me. And I can't wait always it's only 3 or 4 times a year with a very special counselor that does it really well. So I love these mindfulness sessions, and for a lot of guys our age, it is, let's say the normal guy my age, all these things, they are kind of like modern, kind of hippie kind of things or whatever. But I would just say to anybody who's listening, try it out, whether it's Qigong or mindfulness, or you will find something that clicks with you, And I've heard from several guys who, through this whole journey with their cancer, have become a more spiritual person and a more mindful person, and are just having a different approach to life. I think that happens to a lot of cancer or other people with other illnesses. It's quite normal that you have to change something about your approach to life once you are faced with something like that. And you can turn that into something positive. That's my main message. You can turn it into something positive. And so I also, before I forget it, I want to say that, not everybody, I felt guilty because I never finished your program. And I want to take that guilt away if I can from other people, because shit happens,
Totally. Absolutely.
It's just like
Absolutely.
In our case, it was, this fire that engulfed our, and my partner had long-term COVID for 3 years. So his energy is very low, or was very low. Another nice thing, he's over it. After 3 years, his long COVID is gone. It's like a miracle, it's like another miracle.
That is so good.
That is incredible. So, and he's
no guilt. No. We take what we need and we leave the rest. That's how it goes.
Yeah. And
that's how it goes. No guilt.
After I suddenly
life hits, like in your case, I mean, really.
I was just fighting to survive for 3 weeks. All we did was, try to get the forest and the house around us wet, and just repairing sprinklers and God knows what. And there was just no time to listening to you in the morning and putting on the heart monitor and all that. And then afterwards, I just didn't have enough self-discipline to get back into it, The aftermath was incredible here because I had to abandon all my garden work and everything. Anyway, long story short, it happens to people, but nevertheless, it helped me nevertheless, because I'm still every month
coming to every month and every monthly conference.
Exactly.
You're part of the gay group, the pre-session before the monthly video conference. You're helping everybody
there.
in the breakout rooms. This is incredible.
Almost
absolutely.
Always.
Plus, you're free to take both the PC-PEP or the Cancer PEP complimentary
again
anytime, darling. So there's nothing for you to worry about. Anytime you want to just let us know, poof, you go back on the program. And in fact, many people take it 2-3 times, so no worries.
Good. Lovely. And so it's just all these things. I'm just telling to the guys, you can find the things that will help you, and also I also realized something else for me personally is often we talk about our partners, how they're supporting us or so on. In my case, I at some point realized my partner has so many health issues himself that, and a lot older than me. So he needs to concentrate on this. This doesn't mean he doesn't love me, but he's concentrating on this. So at the beginning, I was asking more for help, and he was in on the telephone calls and this and that, but somehow that petered out, and in the end I realized I did this mostly by myself, with some mentors, of course, and you guys, all that helped, but basically I felt incredibly empowered having gone through this journey and worked on it hard to get the help that I needed, So I'm just speaking to people who sit alone at home and are alone, and I go, you can do it. You can do it. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in the healing, and you have to find the right people to talk to, even if not everybody has a partner to begin with, and then not everybody has a partner who's able or willing or just able to help you through this, So once that was a big point for me to realize that, wow, I did this and I did it well.
Yes, you did. And join us. So this way you have a chance to talk to Ilie and all our wonderful gents that are on those podcasts, because they're all mentors. They're all giving their breath and their energy to those monthly video conferences, connecting with everybody, cracking a joke, as we have to laugh. Life is a comedy in many ways. We have to laugh. We have to find laughter. We have to find lightheartedness to get us through all this, because otherwise it's just too heavy. Too much for
absolutely
anyone. Yeah. Don't stay home. Don't worry and wait and worry some more, and then waste your life, your precious life. Get a hold of us and we'll help in any way we can. Yeah. So this was lovely. So tell me, where are you now? How are you feeling now? Although you kind of told me a little bit about that, or anything that is on your mind that you might want to share before we wrap it up.
I think I said it all, really. I didn't say it all because nobody can say it all, but I said the things that were important to me, one little funny thing, just to finish this on a funny note, because when I first joined you guys, and I looked at your program, I'll never forget, is that I realized there were only photos of men and women couples, heterosexual couples. And I think maybe I saw a tiny little rainbow flag somewhere,
Yeah, on the main page.
And so that's another thing that happened to me. I got all my activism back that I had in my 20s and 30s. I was on every pride demonstration in Germany, in my town. And I was there from the beginning. But as you get older and then you have family and so on, it wasn't, I felt accepted in my community. I know there's a long way to go, but still that whole activism started to kind of come back to me through this health crisis, and that I realized what's lacking in the healthcare system. So I remember writing you an email or something right away. And then the next day, you and Rob phoned me personally here, and I go like, what? Oh my God. They phoned me right away, and you were all apologetic, and you said, yeah, we're looking for funding and so on and this and that. And I think I said, well, you don't need funding. Just put a man couple at least in the picture somewhere, because I think it's really important. I mean, this is not a joke. I think it's really important that especially the closeted gay men or any gay men, bisexual men, trans men, or trans women in that case, will see, oh, they include us, and you have changed a lot in this last year, and so all I want is just like a picture once in a while of a man and a man holding hand. I go like, oh, they even thought about us, and we're included, and I don't need any special treatment or anything, but I want to be included because it will help me, and so you're doing that really well, and really, really appreciate that. And so thank you. And thank you for everything you do. And it would be wonderful to meet you in person if I make it out in August. I'm talking to one of the people I met through your program, and his partner is a travel agent. So it's all connections everywhere. It's like a big love connection.
Well, we look forward to seeing you if you come here. Uli, I cannot thank you enough for your time and your love. And your space you gave us today with your interview. Really appreciate this. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people listening to this.
Thank you so much.
Heartfulness. Love you lots. Thank you so much.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
And this concludes episode number 9 of our podcast. For more information on our programs, please visit PC-PEP.org, or for all forms of cancer, cancerpep.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, be well and take care of yourselves.